What's up YouTube? Today we are going over how to taper your hair. We're going to go through this step by step and I'm just going to talk through the process. The first thing we're going to do is edge up this side of the hair, get it all combed out and laid down the way it's going to be once we get everything finished up. The reason we're starting with the edge up is so that we can see exactly what we want the taper to look like. You see I'm lining the trimmers up with my nose, so I want it to be parallel with my nose, my nasal bone, and we're just moving that and tapping into this corner to make it a right angle. Actually a little bit, it's probably like 89 degrees, but we're just gonna just edge up so once again we can see where we want to place the taper in relation to the edge up. We're going to use the corner of this trimmer just like a pencil to shape out this C cup, and we don't even need to do the full one since we're doing a skin taper, but I like to do it just so I can get the angle right for the way I want to place the taper. So today I'm doing the taper on this Afro, and I want my Afro to be able to grow. So it'll be a little bit disconnected from the taper, so we're going to get it to blend into the Afro, but we do not want to cut off more of the long pieces of the Afro. So that's what we're going for, and we're going to go ahead and bald it out right here. Don't be afraid to go ahead and stretch the skin with your offhand. If you have any sensitive areas, go ahead and stretch the skin so that the trimmer doesn't touch the skin as much. Like stretching the skin will give you more space to put the trimmer in a tight spot. This is the only area my skin can take the foil shaver, is just right on the side, so not anywhere under my neck. That will not make my skin happy. But the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and set in this first guideline, and that's about the only one we're going to make. So this is the Andis Master all the way open, so that is about a 1 or 1/8 of an inch. So we're doing that against the grain and making sure that everything's all even for this first section. So we're going to sculpt that area out a little bit and then pick it to see exactly where it falls. So we want to keep the same shape. We want to keep the Afro going vertically and actually leaning out a little bit so I can keep all the length of that hair. The next thing I did was go ahead and take out that bald line with the clipper all the way closed so that we can get ready to do a little bit of blending that we have to do since we're working in such a tight fade zone. So I prefer doing this clipper over comb method right here, since we want to be so precise with this that we don't want to use a bunch of guards in a really small area. It makes a little bit more sense to just use a really thin comb and be really careful about which hairs we take off. So take off a little bit, pick it out, and then see what else you need to take off to make it look blurry, if that makes sense. If you're just going to use a comb just like you would a guard is a comb and a comb is a guard, they're the same thing. You just don't have it attached to the clipper. This next part all happens pretty quickly, so what I'm going to do is detail a little bit with the corner, then I'm going to close the clipper, you'll see it, and I'm going to flick and rotate right here to get that bald line out the rest of the way. So there's a few little dark spots you can still see in there. We're going to corner those out with the edge of the clipper. So what I'm going to do to take out the rest of that bald line is use a trimmer that is not zero gapped all the way. So I'm going to use some pressure and then flick that line out and use the edge to detail the rest of it. We did a little bit of detailing through that section too with this corner, and I think we're gonna sculpt some of the parts of the Afro a little bit with this trimmer as well. So all we're doing is detailing that with the corner of the trimmer too now, since it's a little bit smaller. So I switched back to my trimmer right here that is 0 gap, and I'm gonna make sure that my edge up, the bottom of my vertical bars, that they're even on both sides of my forehead. So I'm just gonna tap in the edge of that and make sure that they're straight across, and then work in the C cups to detail the rest of the edge up. And here we go, we're back sculpting a little bit more with the trimmer that's 0 gap, just to reveal the hairline. So we're knocking out the parts of the hair that fall over the hairline so that it'll be revealed, it'll last longer, and it'll be the first thing you see when you look at the haircut. We're working these corners to get them as tight as we can before we use color enhancements. So we're doing everything we can with this trimmer before we do the color enhancements to make sure that the lines are as straight as we can get them, because we're going to follow up with the enhancements and the razor. So once we do this, we're going to follow up just to make everything look as sharp as it can, and we don't want to enhance something that's not straight because it'll then be crooked and enhanced. So just make sure you do it straight, do it right the first time before you pull out the enhancement. Using an OG Walker color enhancement inside of my master airbrush with my big air compressor. So I got it hooked up to an air compressor on the table, and I'm dropping the OG Walker in and using my enhancement color card to go ahead and enhance myself. You'll see me trying to peek around the card to see where I want to enhance, but it's the same concept as doing it on somebody else. So when you are doing enhancements, something you might not think about is placing the color card back on your skin with the wrong side. So don't put the wet side of the color card back down on your skin, or you'll have a black mark that you got to take off. So I've done it once or twice. I know a lot of barbers have done it where they had to take it back off. So just make sure that when you do it, don't flip it back over. And then I'm just filling in a few of the little darker spots to make it look as perfect as we can. I left a little arch in my taper. Some people don't like that. It's a preference thing. I think it looks a little bit better with the Afro. So. Color enhancements, by the way, are for the skin, not necessarily for the hair. So don't feel bad about moving them around with your finger or adjusting them however you need to. Just wanted to put that out there. I want to make the front of this pretty dark, since my Afro, my hair, my curls are pretty thick, pretty dense in there. And I just want that to match in the very front where it's not. So I have like a widow's peak that I want to make sure is not visible compared to the color enhancements. So the next thing we got is our straight razor, and I'm sorry about the focus shifting to my arm. What I'm doing is using my hair to stretch the skin on my hairline, because I'm going to take it down away from the hairline because of how coarse my hair is. So I don't want to go straight against the grain because it could pull and nick if I do try and go straight in without stretching it really hard, which is harder to do doing my own hair. So I'm going to pre-shave it by just knocking everything down with the grain with the razor, and then I'll go back and make sure it's a little bit sharper towards once we get closer to the end. As you can see, I've been using the same method and knocking everything down against the grain away from the hairline, just so I don't have to flip the razor as soon without having it pretty much pre-shaven to slide everything back into the hairline. So now we're flipping it and knocking everything back in. And the last thing I'm going to do here is just add a light, very light coat of fibers, hair fibers, and then I'm going to edge it up again just to make sure that the fibers are exactly where I want them to be. So I'm heading somewhere today after this video, so I just wanted to freshen up the taper and get my edge up as crisp as possible. So here we go, just tapping those fibers in again, and then I'll show you what it looks like. We're getting really close to wrapping this haircut up, so I just want to thank everybody for watching, everybody who's made it to this point of the video, and ask you to go check out the rest of the content. There's more videos on haircuts, edge ups, hair textures, all the different things. So just let me know what questions you have, and always feel free to reach out in the comments or on Instagram.